1776. That year had nothing to do with me. Now, some people celebrated, but my ancestors didn't come over here on a business trip or on vacation, waving from the deck of the ship, drinking champagne or sipping tea. There were no welcome committees or homeowners associations to help us get acclimated to the neighborhood. No one dropping off a pie, offering a cup of sugar. No one saying if you need to borrow some money, just ask. It's all good. There were no classes to help translate the language. There were no directional signs written in our native tongue. Just a shotgun if we tried to run in those trees. Those trees, they served as a horrible reminder from which we were hung. 1776, for some of us, that's not where it all began. To be stripped of everything and to be told for taxation and portion meant you're only 3/5 of a man. Denied the opportunity to learn. Beaten if caught trying to write or read. What did Dred Scott say? No rights in which a white man was bound to respect. That was their creed. 1776, it started long before that for some of us. Long before having to guess how many jelly beans in a jar, bubbles in a bar of soap, not being able to sit on the front of a bus. It started long before not being able to register and vote. It started in 1619. Simply put, stolen and put on a boat. We were stacked like corns on that ship. Given minimum to eat, no clothing. Can you imagine that horrific ride over? I'm sure our ancestors who survived got very little, if any, sleep. We were taken from our native land. Our families were destroyed. Babies separated from their parents in 1619. Wait, was it 2019? 400 years later, don't you ignore. Don't ignore babies being put in cages, families being destroyed while today's master don't want to pay for health care or a livable wage. Okay, I digress. 1619, our ancestors, they were strong and they were brave. Some so brave they jumped from the ship knowing they couldn't swim, but they knew death was better than being a slave. And in spite of it all, our ancestors continue to thrive. In spite of being created by laws like the Emancipation Proclamation, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and the Voters' Right of 1965. In spite of needing Brown versus the Board of Education, our ancestors never lost their faith or their determination. So they built schools and colleges, became doctors, scientists, attorneys, and for us to be where we are today, we should all stand and applaud. But the real reason our ancestors survived, because they knew their God was God. I mean, if it wasn't for 1619, America wouldn't be a fraction of what it is today. We tore the land, handled the cattle, only to be treated like prey. Our great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers nursed their babies, only to be violated in the middle of the night. The next morning, she had to act as if nothing had even happened while preparing breakfast for master, the kids, and his wife. I mean, if you're gonna tell it, then please tell the whole story. Not just bombs bursting in our air when we throw our hands over our heart and we salute Old Glory. Talk about how we fought on front lines in wars, dying for this country, trying to defend, only to return to this country, even as veterans, our blackness was still considered a sin. Talk about we needed papers just to walk down the street. Papers that said we were free, and we had to protect those papers with everything we had, even while we were asleep. Talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of American history. How you stole a whole country and a people, and 400 years later, we're still fighting to be free. So what you help elect President Obama? For what you owe our people, that's not even a drop of cold water in a hot bucket. I mean, what about Emmett Till, Black Wall Street, the bombing of the 4 little girls? And you think we should just throw our hands up and say, bump it? I know you say it's been 400 years. Why don't we let it go and move on? Why don't we just forget? But we remember everything else. 9/11, dead presidents, Holocaust. Yeah, I said it before. I take it back. I'll add more to it. You created laws and legislation, but you're consistently inconsistent because you turn around and you break your own rules. Well, we're putting you on notice. We come to get what is right for ours with interest. But the way you treated us in 1619, it's more than 40 acres and a mule. 1619. Hello, my name is Hank Stewart. November the 7th, 1991, I discovered my purpose. And guess what? I've been doing it ever since. For 31 plus years. Had an opportunity to perform for the mother of the civil rights, Miss Rosa Parks, and even our former First Lady, Michelle Obama. First poet to grace the main stage at the Essence Festival. Did some commercials, and I actually even won an Emmy. Guess what? You can have some of the poetry that I've written. 25 years and counting, 25 of my favorite pieces of poetry, and my latest book, 30 Years of Chocolate. This book is a very special book because it actually have QR codes where you can actually hear me reciting some of the poems as well. So guess where you can get them from? My website, hankstewart.net. You can also follow me on social media, Hank Stewart, the poet, on Instagram. You can find me everywhere. Look forward to hearing from you.